Good morning, Alex and friends. I'm Grace. Today is Thursday, January 9th, 2025, and you're listening to Alex's News. The weather in Riverside will be mild today with a high of 73.2 degrees and a low of 49.3 degrees Fahrenheit. Coming up, we'll examine the ethical concerns surrounding a phone conversation between Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito and former President Donald Trump. Then, we'll explore the alarming implications of California experiencing wildfires during what should be its wet season. Finally, we'll discover how scientists are using ice cores from Earth's distant past to better understand our planet's climate history and what it might tell us about our future. All this and more coming up on Alex's News. Stay tuned. We begin tonight with a developing story involving Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito and President-elect Donald Trump. For more on this, we turn to our Supreme Court correspondent Ethan Parker. Ethan, what can you tell us about this controversial phone call?
Grace, according to multiple sources, including NPR and CNN, Justice Alito has confirmed that he spoke with President-elect Trump on Tuesday, just one day before Trump's legal team filed an emergency application with the Supreme Court.
What exactly was the nature of this call, Ethan?
Justice Alito maintains that the call was initiated by William Levi, his former law clerk, to discuss Levi's potential position in the incoming Trump administration. The justices has emphasized that they did not discuss any pending cases, including Trump's upcoming sentencing in the New York hush money case, which is scheduled for tomorrow, January 10th.
Can you explain the significance of this timing, particularly regarding Trump's legal situation?
Certainly. As reported by The Independent, Trump is facing 34 counts of falsifying business records related to payments made to adult film star Stormy Daniels. His legal team has filed an emergency application, arguing that as president-elect, he should be immune from prosecution and sentencing. The Supreme Court has given prosecutors until tomorrow morning to respond to this application.
What kind of reaction has this phone call generated?
The reaction has been mixed, Grace. According to our sources, ethics experts and Democrats have raised serious concerns. Abe Roth, who leads Fix the Court, suggests this could be viewed as an attempt to influence Justice Alito ahead of crucial legal decisions. However, some Republicans, including Representative Tony Gonzalez, are defending it as normal governmental interaction.
And how does this situation align with the Supreme Court's ethics guidelines?
That's an interesting point, Grace. While the Supreme Court did adopt new ethics guidelines in November 2023, these rules don't specifically address private communications between justices and presidents or president-elects. It's worth noting that Alito is one of 3 justices appointed during Trump's previous presidency, which adds another layer of scrutiny to this situation.
Thank you for that comprehensive report, Ethan. We'll continue to follow this story as it develops. We turn now to our second story of the morning, where Southern California continues to battle devastating wildfires. Let's bring in our reporter Chloe Martinez for the latest updates. Chloe?
Thanks, Grace. The situation in Southern California remains critical as multiple wildfires that began on January 7th continue to rage across Los Angeles and Ventura counties. According to ABC 7 Los Angeles, the largest of these blazes, known as the Palisades Fire, has now consumed over 17,000 acres, while the combined fires have burned more than 25,000 acres total.
What kind of weather conditions are firefighters dealing with?
The conditions are extremely challenging, Grace. The National Weather Service has taken the rare step of issuing what they call a particularly dangerous situation warning. We're seeing hurricane-force winds reaching up to 84 miles per hour, and humidity levels have dropped to a dangerous 5%, which is essentially creating perfect conditions for fire spread.
Can you tell us about the emergency response efforts?
According to CAD.gov, Governor Newsom has secured federal assistance through a presidential major disaster declaration from President Biden. The response has been massive, with over 7,500 personnel deployed. This includes 4,700 CL fire personnel, more than 1,000 firefighters with their engines, and 600 California National Guard members. We're also seeing support from neighboring states, including Oregon, Washington, and others.
I understand there have been some challenges with infrastructure. What can you tell us about that?
That's right, Grace. One of the most concerning issues has been in the Pacific Palisades area, where fire hydrants have been running dry. Even with 3 1-million-gallon tanks in the area, they simply can't be refilled quickly enough to meet the enormous demand. This is really highlighting the limitations of urban water systems when facing fires of this magnitude.
What about the residents who have been displaced?
The American Red Cross reports they've established multiple shelters for the more than 30,000 evacuees. The California Department of Social Services is currently operating 4 shelters, housing about 500 people, providing not just shelter but also food, emotional support, and access to critical safety net benefits.
Thank you for that comprehensive update, Chloe. We'll be sure to keep our viewers informed as this situation develops. Here are some other headlines. Severe winter weather is causing widespread disruption across the southern United States, with schools canceling classes for more than 1 million students in Texas alone. Similar closures are affecting Kansas City, Arkansas, and Virginia. The region is bracing for a mix of sleet, snow, and freezing rain, with some areas expecting up to 8 inches of snowfall through Saturday. In Venezuela, President Nicolas Maduro faces mounting challenges as he prepares for his third term. Despite international sanctions and criticism over human rights violations, Maduro maintains power while navigating a severe economic crisis that has seen the country's economy contract by 80% between 2014 and 2021. Privacy advocates at the Consumer Electronics Show have called out several products for data security risks and wasteful design. Notable mentions include a $2,200 smart ring with an irreplaceable battery, a AI-powered baby crib raising privacy concerns, and a router brand required to report security flaws to the Chinese government before alerting the public. A U.S. Trade Representative report warns that 96% of the world's estimated 35,000 online pharmacies are operating illegally, posing serious health risks to consumers through the sale of counterfeit or dangerous medications. In entertainment news, the film adaptation of Wicked leads the SAG Awards nominations with 5 nods, including Best Ensemble. Several high-profile actors were notably absent from the nominations list, including Nicole Kidman, Angelina Jolie, and Denzel Washington. The ceremony will stream live on Netflix on February 23rd. And now for our third story of the morning. In a remarkable breakthrough for climate science, researchers have reached a historic milestone in Antarctica. Joining us now with more details is our science correspondent, Ethan Parker. Ethan, tell us about this extraordinary achievement.
Thanks, Grace. According to announcements today from the British Antarctic Survey and the University of Copenhagen, scientists have successfully extracted what's being called the world's oldest continuous ice core, reaching an incredible depth of 2,800 meters at Antarctica's Little Dome sea site.
That's fascinating, Ethan. What makes this ice core so special?
Well, Grace, this ice core contains samples dating back more than 1.2 million years, which is remarkable when you consider that the previous record was 800,000 years. The project, known as Beyond Epica, Oldest Ice, is funded by the European Commission and brings together scientists from 12 institutions across 10 European nations.
Those are extreme conditions they're working in. What challenges did the team face?
According to reports from Italy's National Research Council, the team worked in brutal conditions, with average summer temperatures of -35°C. They spent over 200 days across 4 field seasons at the site, which sits at an altitude of 3,200 meters above sea level. What's particularly interesting is that they had to maintain something called a cold chain temperature of at least -50°C just to preserve the samples.
And what can these ice cores tell us about our planet's history?
That's a great question, Grace. These cores are like time capsules. They contain trapped air bubbles with preserved greenhouse gases and atmospheric samples that scientists can analyze. But perhaps most importantly, they'll help researchers understand what's called the mid-Pleistocene transition. That's a period when Earth's glacial cycles shifted from 41,000-year to 100,000-year intervals about 1 million years ago.
And what's next for this groundbreaking research?
The ice cores are currently being transported to Europe in specialized cold containers for detailed analysis. The project team is particularly interested in studying the lowest 210 meters of the core, which contains heavily deformed ice that might provide insights into East Antarctica's glaciation history, and potentially even older ice from the pre-Quaternary period.
Thank you, Ethan, for bringing us up to speed on this fascinating discovery.
Thank you, Grace.
That's all we have for now. Today's episode was made by Alexander King with Claude Sonnet 3.5, the Perplexity API, and the Google Cloud Text-to-Speech API. Hope you have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow, Alex.